What's up, boys and girls? I just tried to do this live on YouTube and I'm having connection issues again. So we're going to try it here. I don't know if it's got anything to do with the weather, but I use a hotspot for this because I don't want anybody messing with my internet server. So let's get down to it. Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to Mike Petrelli's neighborhood. My neighborhood is in Goshen, New York. Do you know what Goshen, New York is, kids? Goshen, New York is in New York. But Goshen, New York is also known as the cradle of the trotter. Kind of a coincidence, isn't it? But I want to address some of our friends in the governing bodies of what we call harness racing. Now, this is directly in reference to our friend, a mutual friend who you all may know, but I'm not going to use his name, so we're going to refer to him as Howie McCready, otherwise known as Howie McGreedy. And it seems as though not only is this gentleman in a lot of trouble and isn't allowed to race in a lot of states, including an entire country, for some reason there's some hesitation by a lot of the states and the policemen of harness racing that aren't enforcing the rules as they are written when it comes to, well, if you got in trouble in that state, you're in trouble in our state too. And these are rules that are literally on the books, in writing, and have been for a long time. So what we're going to focus on today, kids, is the magic word. That magic word is called reciprocity. Can you say reciprocity? I know you can. But what does it mean? Well, by definition, reciprocity means the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges granted by one country or organization to another. So that means working together as one. If you do it, we're going to do it. But what happens is there are some people working in these organizations who have friends who aren't so cool. They're not really nice people. They're not too concerned with, first of all, the welfare and the health of the horses. They don't care about other people. They don't care about anything except themselves and another word, money. Money can be a dirty word. But not only are they greedy, like Mr. McGreedy is, they have friends working in some of these organizations who are also greedy. And maybe they weren't always that way when they first got their jobs, but it turns out that once in a while they'll do a favor for a friend, and that friend might give them some money, don't know, return a favor. We're not sure, because we can't understand why Mr. McGreedy is still allowed to race in a lot of states, while these people who are in control and governing the commissions and the racing in those states still allows them to race when it's clearly written in their own rules that he shouldn't be racing. Doesn't make any sense, does it? So I want all our friends and students who work for the commissions in the states of New York, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania to listen to me read their own rules regarding, there's that word again, reciprocity. Pennsylvania. All penalties imposed by other racing authorities, state racing commissions, or the USTA shall be recognized and fully enforced by the commission unless application is made by the licensee for a hearing before the commission, at which time the applicant may show cause as to why the penalty should not be enforced against him in this Commonwealth, meaning Pennsylvania. If a hearing is granted, the commission may delay enforcement of the reciprocal penalty. Well, Mr. McGreedy has been, and I believe it's 2 weeks now, was denied his license to race in the state of Delaware. It says may be delayed. Does that mean may be delayed forever? If he hasn't put in a request for a hearing and you granted it, he should already be penalized, meaning by using reciprocity, since he was denied his license in the state of Delaware. Then the country of Canada by two organizations that govern harness racing in that country. Now also the state of Indiana, that's two organizations in one country, two states in this country, and technically kind of was denied his license in the state of Kentucky months ago, where he withdrew his application. They gave him that option. So that's three states that he can't race in this country. What's the holdup? There must be a reason. There must be some sort of explanation that we just don't understand as the mutants and little people of harness racing. Can you indulge us and educate us, Pennsylvania, as to why, as of now, this gentleman is still licensed to compete in your state? Next, New Jersey. They got it very simple. I think they use first grade explanation, which is good, especially for horsemen. Reciprocity. Their rule reads, full force and effect shall be given to the denial, revocation, or suspension of any license by any other racing commission or turf governing body. One sentence. So you would think, pretty darn clear, right? Nope. As of yet, even though he is banned from the only harness track in that state, at last check, still an active licensee. Wouldn't you put it on record? If you're truly concerned with the integrity of the industry that you police and govern, no matter if the guy is racing there or not, but is holding a license, shouldn't it be on the books that you will be denied, or you are being denied, or you're being revoked, suspended, pending the first state's outcome, correct? Which has made it clear, by the way, in the state of Delaware, Mr. McGreedy cannot reapply for a license for 10 years. So why the holdup in these other states? Ohio says, there's that word again, reciprocity. A person or horse suspended, both. Expelled, ruled off, or otherwise ineligible, or if a person's license is revoked or application for a license has been denied, or if a person or a horse is under any other current penalty pursuant to rules of a racing authority of any other state or country, such person and or horse shall stand suspended, expelled, ruled off, or denied a license at all tracks operating under the permit from the Ohio State Racing Commission until the ruling be withdrawn by the originating authority. Well, again, if we go by the originating authority, that's 10 years from now. Why does he still have a license in your state? Could someone explain? Reciprocity. And one of my favorites, because they even add a new word in here, ladies, boys and girls, New York State Gaming Commission, the state that governs New York State, where Goshen is, the cradle of the trotter. Pursuant to Section 912 of the Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law, New York State Gaming Commission automatically, you know what that means? Just like that. By your action, we automatically copy what you did. Well, no, they didn't. And that's the question. It says reciprocity. We will act on your action. Automatically. Just not yet. Well, then that's not automatically. I know this made it to the desk of the director up there. I tried to contact one investigator who I've been speaking with directly here at the Borgo trial and sentencing, Andy Rakowski, who then told me when I was talking about this 6 months ago, I didn't get it, Mike. You sure you sent it to me? No, I made it up, Andy. There's a new word there. It's called ignoring. Because if they ignore you, then it didn't happen, right? That seems to be a common thread in harness racing. Just ignore. So we're waiting there too, while he races his horses at Yonkers Raceway and takes, well, I shouldn't say takes money away from the good people. Not many really good, honest little guys are allowed to race at Yonkers Raceway, even though they're funded by $60 million a year in state-generated revenue through the VLT law, and that money is controlled by one gentleman who just happens to be on the executive board. I believe he's the chairperson of the United States Trotting Association. Now, funny, I bring up that organization, the United States Trotting Association, boys and girls, who also has not acted in reciprocity. They did with Jeffrey Gillis last spring, and they patted themselves on the back for that. So why the delay here? Now you have 3 states that have basically told him, you're out. 2 in writing, denied, and 1 who allowed him to withdraw his application for racing. Otherwise, in the words, I believe, the investigator, you will be, if you continue on, you will most certainly be denied a license. Those were his words, I'm pretty sure. And the country of Canada, AGCO and Standard Canada, who acted in reciprocity with AGCO, are not allowing him to race anywhere in the country. Now we have our United States Trotting Association, who when you call, and you should call this for a laugh, if you're ever feeling down, I think it's, I don't know if it spells it out, 888-REPORT-IT. Either way, look up their integrity hotline. It's kind of like when you were a kid. You're going to get the same feeling of exhilaration when you hear this, or maybe even anger. Call the integrity hotline, the Report It hotline of the United States Trotting Association, and listen to the prompt, the voicemail greeting that you get. I think the funniest words I've ever heard uttered out of the United States Trotting Association is, we are committed to the integrity of harness racing. I just can't not laugh when I hear that. It's incredible. I call it an insult to our intelligence. But they're used to having everybody scared to death to speak. Well, those days have been changing now, haven't they? So I'll address our friend, Mr. Williams, Russell Williams, the president, interim president of the United States Trotting Association right now. And I'm going to ask you, like they did in the movie Office Space, the 2 gentlemen who were sent to, what the heck was the name of that? I can see it. And I've seen the movie 1,000 times. They set the one wise guy down. They go, so what exactly is it that you do here? I haven't seen any results of anything that you've done or anything that you've promised, Russell. Right down to your absolute waste of time and money called harnessracing.com. More people read Horseplop than they do harnessracing.com. That's a fact. I track your hits. You're an embarrassment. I've heard people try to tell me, oh, Mike, you should understand he's a good guy behind it all. You know, he's up against it. The people that he's got underneath him and the executive board are fighting him, the directors. You understand, just like the horseman, he's been put in that position, which is impossible. The SRIF only has 2 people. One of them is a former federal investigator. The other one is someone who doesn't understand harness racing. So how is that our effing problem? He's the boss. The $250,000 that supposedly helped create the SRIF, so far you've gotten the Wagners. Okay. What else have you done? You have all this evidence. I'm just going to keep repeating this. Slowly, maybe it's going to just take even more, and then bringing this to the media, bringing this to your sponsors. I'm ready to go around and look up I'm going to buy Hoofbeats, I'm going to buy Trot, I'm going to go to the Meadowlands, and I'm going to write down every banner, every advertisement. Go to US Trotting, who's running banner ads, who's running the 3x5, whatever it is. Any ad, anyone investing anything that may give 1 penny to harness racing, and call them and put them on the spot and say who I am. Are you aware of what's been going on? Do you know what's been done? Do you know what's out there? Do you know that the people that you're paying are blocking, well, justice? When you have the evidence right in front of you that the federal government spent all these years, all that time, the assets, the amount of man hours, the knowledge and learning, the experience, that they're way better than you at investigating harness racing, that they were able to obtain this experience in a few years as opposed to over 100 years. Again, I'll keep repeating this. The man, and this is directed at Russell Williams, the man who founded that farm that you, I'm not going to say inherited, that you have the good graces and fortune, and was fortunate enough to have been born into. Imagine if you weren't. Where would you be? You mock him every time you do nothing. And in the last 6 months, you have done nothing. You remember when you picked up the phone a few months and I said, maybe it's time we start to try to work together just a little bit. And you said, that's not going to happen. With the same, I don't want to curse, attitude you gave me when I called you a little over 3 years ago and I said, listen, is there any way you can help me here? When I didn't know anything about any of this, when I was completely naive to just how disgusting your industry is right now. And you've made it that way because when you have the ability to stop it and you don't, you are just as guilty as the guy sticking the needle in the artery. I'm sorry, in the vein. Don't put in the artery. You are just as guilty as the guy on those invoices, guys who purchased this garbage that's used. Oh, but they didn't order it. My trainer ordered it. Oh, but the bills are always sent to me. Yeah, they come to my office, my law office, but I'm unaware of what's on them. My wife used to take care of that. Imagine a man that people actually look up to and kiss ass, and he's using his dead wife as the patsy. What are we going to call her, the stand? That's about as low as you can be. To even say that onto a record and laugh at the same time that my wife paid those bills. I didn't, like this. Well, I didn't know. I just know, oh, she'd come in the room and say, hey, did you see how much we're paying for omeprazole? Yeah. You didn't get the response from the Kentucky guys that you were expecting, did you? And look how this is snowballing. But anyway, back to the people who can put a stop to that. I don't have any other question other than, what are you waiting for? Why? Give us the reason that you're refusing to act on your own bylaws, rules, charters, whatever you want to call them, which when you take your job as an employee of the state, you're mandated to enforce these rules that are written. No different than when we sign an application for a trainer's license, groom's license, owner's license, driver, vendor, guy selling the hot dogs in the grandstand. But us especially, who are supposed to care about the industry, abide by its rules, and the horses, you answer all the questions honestly, correctly, and in the last, before you sign, you sign your application, date it. There's always that paragraph that says, so with the understanding that you understand the rules set forth by blah, 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 everyone knows. Nobody reads it, but we all should have a basic idea of what's the difference between right and wrong. All these criminals who have done what they've done, who, like I said, others have gone to prison for, but are still operating and still racing, have lied on their applications. because all those questions ask if you've done what you've already been found guilty of by these exhibits that were entered into the trials and the investigations and obtained through the Federal Bureau of Investigation, also handed over by none other than Howard McCready, not realizing that this may come back later to bite him. And it turns out that Mr. McCready is also an attorney. And it's something else I wanted to address. Who did Mr. McCready, who was the go-to guy when one of the bad guys, all the bad guys, gets in trouble in harness racing? Who's their attorney? Do I even have to say it? And this brings up, maybe this is the reason for a lot of the hesitation by a lot of the commissions. A lot of these guys now work for the state. A lot of these guys, maybe not so much on the boards and the state capitals, but they do work as judges, right? It just makes you wonder. Something that's so crystal clear and should have been, like I continue to say, a layup, that the dominoes should just fall. No, somebody keeps ripping one out and stopping them from falling. How, why, and who's going to do something about it? We were able to get it done in Indiana, enough of the right people and enough of the enough horsemen who remained anonymous went in there screaming and said, "Are you kidding?" They were forced to have to act on it, because the last thing they need is this going to the media, which it's going to. It's going to be hand-walked into the state capitals. You have a State Department that is funded by the taxpayers of that state. Those employees, all these people that are not acting, are paid employees of the state in which they work in, right? They have also lied on their sworn oath of the positions that they've taken by not acting on this. Stop being cowards. If you did something wrong, which is making you hesitate, well, that's on you. You're going to get caught anyway. It's just a matter of time. And another thing, you know, there's no guarantees anymore in this industry. Once the state starts seeing just how disgusting and dirty, by allowing it to be self-policed and by allowing the people who are the same ones that the business should be rid of, the only way to clean it up, all that free money, one by one, is going to be earmarked for something far more deserving than harness racing. And I hate to tell you this, boys and girls, everything is far more deserving than harness racing. I can give you 50 examples right off the bat. But that's another argument. Right now, it's about trying to help the little guys in the business that don't stand a chance against these people who have taken full advantage of not ever having to answer for what they've done, and the horses in the end. The ones that I see in the carriage, pulling a carriage in New York City, the ones in the kill pens, the ones that drop dead on the racetrack. Something's been going on. There's been less of that, let's say, within the last 6 months to a year. We've also got another guy out there who's been, a few of them, racing on appeal forever. NJRC. You know who I'm talking about. The guy with the 364 days. Crazy, it was an odd number. It's a little over a year. But now he's racing on the state. You drag that out, you let it, and now he's on appeal with an actual court injunction. How long is that going to take? More proof that you're impotent, you're ineffective, you can be beaten, but at least do your job. And if you've done your job the way you're supposed to do it, you can never be held accountable. You did your job. And if you're going to fight for the sport that you're supposed to be governing, you can never be wrong. Unless you already are wrong, and that's why you're not doing your job. Let me see if anybody said anything. This is the first time I've done a Facebook Live in a long time. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up. Stop being cowards. You got him on the ropes. And he's not the only one.